Yay! Good morning. It is the first Friday morning, Coffee with Tina live. So I'm glad to know you marked your calendars. Hello, Jenny. Um, Good morning. Good morning. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk about November. I usually dread November because it is the start of the holiday season. And while I'm not having to deal with the narcissist in my life anymore, I know that for so many of you, it's kind of the start of the fasten your seatbelts. Everything gets really crazy with the narcissist during the holidays. I've written blogs on this. I've talked about it a lot. It's something having to do with everybody walking around feeling joy, all the commercials, the warm, fuzzy, stuff going on in the world with the holidays. Maybe a little bit different this year with the pandemic. Good morning, Jessica. Um, but November and December are usually my busiest months. There are a couple of cycles that I can track throughout the year when it comes to the narcissist. And one of them is right before summer break. Things start to escalate. But the big one is pretty much you can put it on your calendar and count on it for the beginning of November. November, December are it's a full moon every single day when you're dealing with these people. Gigi says, and good morning, Gigi. Hello, I was just notified that my ex filed Chapter 7 bankruptcy. He is hiding money and lying. That's actually a big deal. My ex-husband was evading taxes. Oh, screen is black. Can anyone else see me? I can see me. I'll wait. Nobody else has said that yet. So I'm going to see if it's an issue on your screen or I don't know. Let me know. Okay. Could be a connection issue. I know my ex, he was evading taxes and probably still is. I know the courts didn't care, but the government usually does. So, if you have, I don't know. I know I can't give legal advice. I know attorneys tell you stay out of it, but thanks for letting me know. Something to look into. If you know anyone is being fraudulent about a bankruptcy and hiding assets or money, someone might want to know about that. But yeah, can you? These people are all the same. It's the same playbook. Let's see. Jessica says, I was ordered to pay COVID test. Narcissist finally gets an overnight visit starting today and has only texted me about the reimbursement. How can I yell? You know what? It's so hard. It's hard for me to give advice on something like that without knowing your full story. Like with my clients, there are some of them where I just know who they're up against. There's so much strategy involved in profiling the narcissist. I was on a Zoom call last night with Dr. Ramani and Tanya Guam and a couple of other Carol, a couple other great mental health professionals that I just love and admire. And it was one of the things I was talking about is, you have to know the intricacies of the person to, it's the easy, lazy way is to say all narcissists are the same. They use the same playbook. I just said that when it comes to the holidays, because that one I do feel comfortable issuing a blanket statement on. But Gigi says, just sharing, not asking for advice. Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's what this is all about. Jessica, though, with the, how do I yellow rock response? Without knowing the person you're up against, it's why if you've ever been a coaching client of mine, one of the first things I ask you is, what does this person do for a living? Because I can automatically put them in a category. That's just the very basic 101. If they're ex-military, they've got control issues. You've probably got tracking soft stuff on your car. If they're a doctor, they likely have a God complex. So there are so many different variables that go in, and that's why, when I get messages from people saying, how would you handle this? It's so hard for me to answer without, it would be unethical, personally, in my opinion, for me to answer without knowing the full details of who you're up against. So, couple of things. A lot of people have asked about my dad. My dad's cancer, he has lung cancer. It is stage 4. But we just got the results back that it is isolated to his lung area, and it has not spread to, we were worried about his bones, his brains, and his brain, and it has not. So that is my good news for today, and I will be getting on the road to go see him very shortly. So for those of you who have sent me, messages asking about my dad, thank you. It really does mean a lot. Couple of things. So November is Family Court Awareness Month. That's what I'm going to call it, and I hope you will too. It is going to take a village. This is something brand new, and there is Child Support Awareness Month, the A word, which I will not say. They have their own awareness month. Why has there never been a Family Court Awareness Month? And so I've been communicating with domestic violence shelters and saying, hey, oh, I'd love to hear that your cousin is alive and well. Thank you for the hope. That is what I will keep. The lung cancer. Thank you for that comment. Why has there never been a Family Court Awareness Month? Domestic violence shelter, I was talking to an advocate out of state at a domestic violence center, and I was sharing the statistics with her. We know about 758 children who have been murdered in the US through separating or divorcing a parent. Just in the US, in the family court system. And those are the only ones we know about. Those are the only ones where, maybe their town has media coverage on it. Or it was, just put in as, it didn't come up on the radar of the Center for Judicial Excellence. So those are just the kids we know about. When I was talking to this director at the Domestic Violence Center, she had no idea. She knows that there needs to be education on the family court system and post-separation abuse. And, she was so supportive of what we were doing. And I was asking her, I need you to meet me when I'm traveling across the country for Family Court Awareness Month starting on November 1st. I would love for you to meet me. With media, you pass the torch from October's Domestic Violence Awareness Month to November's Family Court Awareness Month, because the reality is when someone leaves a domestic violence situation, they walk straight into this new form of abuse, and there is no education on this for survivors of domestic violence, and I hope to change that. I hope to put this issue on the radar of everyone. We have received a lot of media attention on this situation, on this tour that we're doing. We got the RV, and Glenn took off all of the logos. We have the Family Court Awareness Month logo on it now. It's actually huge. It doesn't look like it here. We've got the One Mom's Battle logo. We're adding a whole bunch more. They should be here in the next couple of days. Center for Judicial Excellence. California Protective Parents, Danielle Pollock, she is with the Court Said USA. If you are not following her, you should be. She is kind of become one of my new heroes. And we are going to be honoring the 758 children who have lost their lives. Some of the moms that I'm personally connected with, I've offered to put a decal on the RV of their children. So we're going to have Piki, his mom, Ana Estevez, will actually be coming to speak at the press conference in Los Angeles on November 1st. For little Kira, she is actually out of Canada. And for those of you who don't follow her story, her dad threw her over a cliff. It is absolutely heartbreaking. Hera McLeod, Justice for Prince, her little boy who was drowned by his dad for insurance money. Kyra Franchetti, Jacqueline Franchetti is flying all the way from New York to Los Angeles to speak at our November 1st press conference, which I am humbled and honored to have her there as well. And Cadence Corner, Kathy Sherlock is a amazing warrior and voice and advocate for kids. These moms should not have to be living every day with this pain of not only losing their child, but that it was preventable and that this is on the court system. They failed these kids. And so my goal is to spread this message across the country and make it everybody's issue. But I need your help. I need you to be sharing our social media posts, which should start rolling out in the next few days. I need you to submit your story. You can go to our website, familycourtawarenessmonth.com. There's a little share your story, and we aren't going to be publishing names, but whatever you submit, we could use. I could pull an excerpt out to use as a quote. I could read it at the press conferences. So make sure that whatever you are submitting, you would be comfortable with me sharing. Again, identities will not be shared, but even if it's a quote that the judge said to you, one of the things I was saying to Glenn this morning is I remember at, one of the darkest times of my battle, and I showed up to the family court so desperate for them to listen to me and to protect my kids. And when the judge was doing, or the commissioner was doing court call, he said, Swithin, how long is it going to take? And I said, Your Honor, I estimate about 45 minutes. And he laughed at me. And he said, I'm not giving you 45 minutes. He goes, you have 5. And I just, it would take me longer to go adopt a dog at my local animal shelter than it would to try to get the court to hear my children are being abused. And that is so wrong. And so whatever you submit, Danielle Pollock, yes, Danielle does, you can look up Danielle Pollock Consulting. She runs the Facebook page, The Court Said USA, but she's amazing, and she does a lot of work with Joan Meyer, and yeah, I think very highly of her. So yes, start submitting your stories. We need them. And, if this is really going to gain traction, it can't just be me out there, running my mouth. It has to be all of us. And even if you can't share your story publicly, or whatever, change your profile picture. We have the ribbons. You can change just your profile for the whole month of November to signify Family Court Awareness Month. Put our website on there, and that's all you have to say. Just help us to make this movement undeniable. Make every single person in our country aware that this is a problem, because they don't know. They really don't. I was talking to a mom late last night through Facebook Messenger, holding space for her because, her daughter was failed by the system and is now an angel. And, and the world continues to fail her. And I just can't imagine living with that pain every day. It's hard enough to lose a child, but in this way where it was preventable, mind blowing to me. I have so much respect for how she gets up every morning and continues to be a voice for other kids. So, hold space for these parents who have lost their babies and help us to raise awareness. Itinerary for Family Court Awareness Month. We are not going to be able to disclose where the events are being held. We originally planned to, because of COVID restrictions in most cities, my own health, I'm immune compromised. We aren't going to be able to do that. What we are doing is connecting, in Los Angeles. Senator Susan Rubio has confirmed she's going to be there. She's going to speak. We're inviting elected officials. We are inviting domestic violence advocates from centers, from shelters to come and, say a few words and speak. We're inviting the media in each city, but we will be asking you to Facebook watch party with us for everyone's safety. Again, damn COVID. But next year, hopefully next year, we will be able to gather. So the itinerary for this kickoff tour, Los Angeles, November 1st. That's going to be at 4 p.m. Pacific time. So make sure you mark it on your calendar now so you can plan to Facebook watch party with us. November 3rd, we will be in Albuquerque, New Mexico at 4 p.m. their local time. November 6th, we will be in Little Rock, Arkansas. That's at 8:30 a.m. 11/9, we will be in Atlanta, Georgia at 3:30 p.m. And 11/10, we will be in Charleston, South Carolina. That will be at 3 p.m. And Raleigh, North Carolina, 3:30 p.m. on 11/11. 11/13, we will be in Nashville, Tennessee at 12 p.m. And then on November 16th, we will be in Amarillo, Texas at 9:30 a.m. I ask you to mark all of those dates on your calendar. If you didn't get them down, yes, next week. Can you even imagine? I am trying to prepare my whole family to be on the road for 3 weeks, which my brain is blown right now. But those dates and times are all on our website at familycourtawarenessmonth.com. So make sure you get all of those dates down, clear your calendar, watch party, comment, join us, and share it. Invite people to your watch party. So let's jump into our questions for today. I cannot afford to keep my attorney, and I may need to go in pro per. Any advice? Start, if you aren't already connected to your local chapter of One Mom's Battle, your state chapter, make sure you do that. You can go to the One Mom's Battle website. You're going to want to click our blog, and it's a few blog posts down. You'll see a globe, and it says OMB Worldwide Chapters. We do have requirements to join, but my first piece of advice is connect with others in your state to start understanding not only your system, but the players in your system. I'm wondering, would your attorney be willing to stay on in the background to guide you? Or can you find another attorney who can stay on just to consult with? And it may not be for every single occasion, but I found that so helpful. There was an attorney here in my area. He has since retired, but I went in for a consult. I think he felt so bad for me that he didn't even end up charging me. He and his wife was his paralegal, were earth angels to me. And he was so invaluable just to have in the background if I didn't understand, procedurally. I remember sitting in his office trembling because I had to do a 2-day trial and I had no idea what I was doing. Or, another thing I often recommend, Upwork, Upwork. It's upwork.com. It's a online job. Like independent contractors go on there. I could find someone for graphic design, web design. You can also find paralegals. So maybe find a paralegal. You can set the filter for your state. And maybe find a paralegal who specializes in family law, who could help you with the paperwork, just to make sure you're on track, you're, doing everything the right way. Check in your area to see if they have any open court on Zoom. A lot of places are giving the links to, or you can get them through your attorney. Ask your attorney, hey, if I wanted to watch court proceedings in my judge's courtroom, how do I do that? So, get creative, think outside the box. You can send us questions at One Mom's Battle at the Facebook page if you have questions. For me, I went to the law library. I connected with my local community center. They offered like free legal clinics. It was like a $20 donation, and you could meet with an attorney for 30 minutes. So lots of things like that. That I utilized in my own case. And, but, for me, and a lot of people don't have access to this, I used to go sit in the courtroom. Even if I could only find 2 hours in a week to do that, it was invaluable. And again, the damn pandemic makes that a little bit more difficult right now. So, but if anybody else has advice or things that have helped you, please be sure to put them in the comments. Somebody asked, did your daughters cry, kick, and scream when going to their dad? I think we had a similar question like this that I addressed recently, but, so many people are going through the same things. Yes, some of my most painful memories are having my daughters, ripped off of me, and knowing that I was under scrutiny and under a microscope to, I remember when my daughter started preschool, and the preschool had a protocol that was, to make transitions easier. And it was, one hug, one kiss, we wave goodbye, and then parent leaves. I had to kind of put that protocol into place with visits because they were so painful. It made it easier because the preschool did that. So it was kind of part of our routine. But, I've gotten in my car, driven a block away, and just fetal position, bawled my eyes out. It's one of the worst things. It's it's really hard. And my heart goes out to you because I've been there, and it's painful. One of the things I did at the advice of their therapist was a transition bear. They didn't call it the kids didn't refer to it as a transition bear, but that's what I called it. And I sent my ex an email and I just said, hey, Michelle recommended that I let the girls each pick out whatever stuffed animal they want, and it will be their permanent object. So, they don't really understand time depending on the age. So it gives them something, a permanent object to hold on to as they're, being shuffled from one place to another, all of these transitions. And so my daughters each had a bear, and I remember that helped them tremendously. So sometimes we have to think outside of the box. There's the book, The Invisible String. That's another great one. That you're still connected. My daughters at 13 and 15 still remember one 4th of July where They were going to be gone for 3 days. They had a lot of anxiety about it. I wasn't going to see them on 4th of July, so I told them every time a pink firework goes off, that's your sign, mommy's sending you a hug. Mommy loves you. And they still to this day remember that pink fireworks mean that mommy loves you. And so, any little things like that, you want to be careful so it's not, sometimes when I hear things people have done, I'm like, oh, I don't know how that would be viewed by the court. Keep it as basic as possible. But those are a few things that helped for me. If you have things that help your children with transitions, please put it in the comments. It takes a village. Were you ever worried that you would lose your case? Yes. Many, many, many times. I can't, and when I say lose, there are going to be many battles, and then there's the war. And, I lost many battles along the way. Like I remember the time, I've always said that I know if my ex-husband, I know he is capable of taking my children's lives without a doubt in my mind, because he knows that is the one way to destroy me. And so I remember when I found out that my daughter's almost drowned in a swimming pool. And to this day, I feel like he maybe had a second thought and he jumped in and got them. But they both went underwater multiple times. My older daughter trying to save her little sister's life. He was sleeping or hungover or whatever. I don't think it was an accident. And, I remember in that moment being so desperate for the court. And the judge basically said, what I was asking for is put it in the court order that they have to wear a life jacket at all times around his family's pool. And the judge said, I'm not going to micromanage. It was his famous words. I'm not micromanaging this case. I'm not going to detail every single thing he needs to be doing. He would not be able to live with himself if something happened to his kids. He's not going to let them get hurt. And I'm like, we aren't talking about the same person. And I just remember feeling so defeated and feeling that the court was starting to see me as hysterical, or enmeshed, or all of those words that they like to label us with. So there were a lot of really dark times where I thought my kids are not going to survive this. And, talk about losing, that would be the ultimate. But I lost so many court battles along the way. We were in court 13 times in 1 year alone. It was constant. It was a full-time job, and lots of wins, lots of losses. But at the end of the day, what I like to remind people is, you have that authentic bond with your kids. That is their platform. Even if there are bumps in the road and, maybe they're being turned against you, they're being weaponized, they're being put in the middle. At the end of the day, these kids come back. You can't fake a bond, indefinitely. They can for certain periods of time. They can come in and be Disneyland parent and all of that. And it does work, with the kids. Maybe they're 13. He buys them or she buys them a new iPad, 16, a new car that they can only use if they're staying the night at the unhealthy parent's house. There are going to be times where I do see people's kids swayed, but they come back because that bond is what is important and what they know and feel at their core level. So regardless of what happens, winning, losing in court, you've already won because you have the ability to have a long-term connection, which is authentic, and you have the ability to love your kids where the narcissist is not capable. So that's kind of my how do you handle it when your children are experiencing gaslighting by the narcissist? This was one of the things that we talked about last night on the call that I was with Dr. Ramani and my other wonderful therapist friends is, how do you prevent gaslighting? It's making sure that your kids know their truth. And, I take it back to, yes, Gigi, unconditional love versus conditional love. Your kids know, even if they can't articulate it, they know that is their core, that is their center. So thank you for sharing that. I think back to when I was being gaslit and I was not firm in my truth. I was a 26-year-old girl who did not have the most stable foundation from childhood. And I was easily manipulated because I was projecting my own positive qualities and traits onto a person who was undeserving. And over time, the playing field was very uneven. He developed power over me. And because my foundation was not secure and firm, um, I was the perfect candidate to be gaslit. And, I can see clearly looking back, but when you're in that fog, you just can't. So, my goal as a mom has been to create my kids' foundation so firm. Um, an example I like to share, it was a few years ago, and my oldest daughter had an altercation, and something was said about me by another mom, and I saw my daughter's text message to her friend, and she said, my mom doesn't care what was said because she knows her truth. And like tears, I'm like, I have done things right. Like my kids, that is part of their vocabulary, that is part of the way their brain works. Because even if it's not pointed at my ex, there are toxic people in this world all over the place. And so our kids have to know their truth at a core level. One of the games that I played with my kids when they were little and they loved it and thought it was fun was I Know My Truth. And I've shared this on this channel. Before, and it could be as simple as, look, that lemon is pink, and my daughter would say, I know my truth, that lemon is yellow. Or look, I'm wearing a purple shirt, I know my truth, your shirt is gray. And things like that. And it was a funny little game that we played, but it started creating that foundation of what is my truth. And they use it in, good morning, Sarah from Baltimore. I know it's going to be hard to get used to the new schedule, but thank you all for joining me. But so Gigi's putting in a comment, ask your child, what are the facts? How do you feel? What do you believe? Where do you feel it in your body? I love that. These are conversations that we should be having with our kids in general. We have to equip them for the world, which is not roses and butterflies, even with my rose colored glasses. It's not. And so, really equipping them for, what are boundaries? What are red flags? What is your intuition? Good morning from Florida. So we have to empower our kids. That's our job. And sometimes it can feel exhausting. I remember, when the light bulbs first started going off back in 2009-10, with my therapist's help, that I was dealing with a narcissist. Then my second concern was, oh my God, the more I'm reading about this, and there wasn't a lot back then, the more I am recognizing that there could be genetic predispositions to this. And as I'm looking up my ex-husband's family tree, I'm like, his dad, his brothers, there are issues throughout the family. And it terrified me to think that my kids would be exposed to them to that degree. So, you've got genetics and you've also got environment, that's a bad combination. So I remember my therapist saying, your house is empathy boot camp now. You are going to go above and beyond until you're exhausted by empathy, modeling empathy, talking about empathy, making that part of the foundation of your family. But equally important is boundaries, because we know where empathy got so many of us. The narcissist loves empaths and is target, that's that's their ideal target. And so as much as we want to be teaching our kids and modeling empathy, we also want to model the important things, the boundaries, the intuition, all of that. So Natalia says, doing my own healing was paramount for my kids. Absolutely. It is the oxygen mask analogy. If we don't put on our own oxygen mask, we cannot show up and be the strongest version of ourselves for our kids. And we need to be the strongest version of ourselves, because what our kids are subjected to by a court system that prioritizes parental rights over children's rights, we're undoing a lot of damage. Our kids become like little pressure cookers. They don't have the life skills, the life experiences to deal with these things. It's confusing, especially when there's things like gaslighting taking place, or abuse or neglect. It's hard to watch. So we need to be empowered and care for ourselves so that we can show up and do what we need to do for our kids. So happy Friday, everyone. I thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next Friday at 7 a.m. Pacific. I'm still not sure how it's going to work when I'm out on the road for Family Court Awareness Month, traveling back and forth across the country. We have our own internet in the RV, and then we picked up a hotspot from my daughter's school. So we are going to do our very best. I plan to still do these. So we're going to be winging it. Worst case scenario, still submit your questions, and I could do it pre-recorded and then make it go live at 7 a.m. I'm still trying to figure out the logistics of road life. So please go to familycourtawarenessmonth.com, submit your story, #myfamilycourtstory. If you are going to publicly share your story in November, I know that many of you are, use the hashtag #myfamilycourtstory and Family Court Awareness Month. Use those hashtags. But I cannot caution you enough. Do not share anything without the permission of your attorney. I do not want this to affect anyone's case. And maybe you're in a place that you can only share our website or only change your profile picture in November to our ribbon or to the handprint, which represents the almost 800 children who have been murdered. The number has actually increased by a few since we printed the handprint. And that is painful to think about. I don't use hashtags. I don't know anything about social media. All I know is my person said, have them use hashtags. So please use hashtags. You might have to start using hashtags this month, Gigi. But please share your story. Please make sure you're safe to share your story. And please support our efforts, because I can't do this alone. It's going to take a huge village. Happy Friday. Take care, everyone. Lots of love to all of you.